Good evening and welcome to my driveway. I am not in a cinema car park. I am at home because when I came out of the cinema this evening, I had the children with me, and obviously I wasn't going to do a review with them in the car because they'd be leery. So I waited until I was home. And actually we weren't at the Odeon this evening. We were at the Fancy Pants Cineworld Cinema over at Rushden Lakes. And we went to a very special Sky customer screening of Matilda the musical. I've got a weird hair vibe going on. I'll just try and sort that out. So Matilda the musical comes out today. So it wasn't seeing it early, but it was seeing it for free as Sky VIP. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Obviously, of course I did. Of course I do, because it's a film. So, once upon a time, a very talented man called Roald Dahl wrote a book called Matilda. I have no idea when Matilda was first published, but I'm going to go with very early 90s. I could be wrong. But I read it when I was a kid and I absolutely loved it. And then, I don't know, I want to say mid-90s again, or early 90s, mid-90s, a film version was made of Matilda, directed by and starring Danny DeVito as Mr. Wormwood, and Danny DeVito's own actual real-life wife, Rhea Perlman, playing Mrs. Wormwood, and Mara Wilson of Mrs. Doubtfire and Miracle on 34th Street fame as Matilda. And a lot of people absolutely love that film. I've got to be honest, I'm not hugely keen on it, even though I really like Danny DeVito and I really like Rhea Perlman. It just strayed far too far from the book for me. And whereas in the original book, she's mildly telekinetic briefly, in the 90s film, she's kind of flying things all over the place. And yeah, it's all right, but I don't love it. And then many years later, the creative genius and walking talent machine that is Mr. Tim Minchin, Australian singer and comedian, took the story of Matilda and turned it into one of the most successful musicals that the West End and Broadway has seen in quite some time. And I was lucky enough to see it quite a while ago now, and then I saw it again in 2020 with Eva, and I absolutely love the musical. I realise I haven't even started talking about the film yet, and I'm 3 minutes in. I love the stage version. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I think Tim Minchin is so talented, it's stupid. And the songs are funny and warm, and they have that proper Roald Dahl, I was going to say nastiness running through them, but not. They're not, I mean, they are nasty, but that thing that I love most about Roald Dahl, that darkness and that sort of edge and just the sort of, that it's not all sweet and sickly. That was what I always loved about the books as a kid, and it's what my dad loved about the books. And then Tim Minchin managed to capture that perfectly in the songs he wrote. I think Matilda's been running at the Cambridge Theatre in London for, it's like over a decade now, and it's just wonderful. The film version of the musical has been in production on and off since 2013, so it hasn't been a rush to get it to the screen. But today it arrives. It is a Netflix film, and as I understand it, it's going to be streaming on Netflix from Christmas Day. But the decision was made to put it in cinemas for a month, and I am so glad that they did, because it was a joy to get to experience it on a big screen today, especially in a really nice, much newer cinema than the one I normally frequent. Not throwing shade on the Odeon in Kettering, but it's old and it's a bit shabby, whereas the Cineworld cinema's not that old and it was really fancy. Her name's gone out of my head. Alicia Weir? Is it Alicia? Pretty sure it is. Plays Matilda. In the role of Miss Trunchbull, you've got Emma Thompson having all the fun, being a geet big villain, and a big meanie. Lashana Lynch takes on the role of Miss Honey. Matilda's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood, are played respectively by Stephen Graham and Andrea Riseborough. So it's got a really good cast. And it's joyous. The girl playing Matilda, who I've decided her name is Alicia Weir, and if I'm wrong I'll feel terrible, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, is superb. When she's speaking, I got shades of early Hermione Granger, but not that that's a problem. Singing voice, beautiful. All of the singing in the film was superb. Lashana Lynch particularly totally caught me off guard, because she has one of the more emotional songs in the film, and it made me really teary. And yeah, just to see that production that I've seen twice on stage in London brought to life on a cinema screen was really fun. It's quite whimsical in its style, so it's kind of, they never say when it's set, but there's a very, very strong 80s vibe to the hair, mainly the hair and the cars, but they never actually say what year it is. There's no mobile phones or anything, so they haven't like moved it to now. It kind of exists in a sort of, like I say, a slightly whimsical world. The scenes where Matilda's telling the story to Mrs. Phelps, who runs the mobile library, about the acrobat and the escapologist, which if you've not seen the stage show will mean absolutely nothing to you. If you're a big fan of the book, you're going, I'm pretty sure there's not an acrobat and an escapologist, and then you're right, there isn't, but there is in the stage version and there is in this film. Those scenes are so big and colourful and over the top, but in the best possible way. Stephen Graham and Angela Riseborough, as the parents, don't really have a huge amount to do, and their songs that they have in the stage show are cut from the film. So there's no song about telly for the dad. All I Know I Learned from Telly. And then the mum, the theme of Matilda's mum being a semi-professional ballroom dancer, is also gone for time and for pace, and I totally get that. It's a shame, because you've got two fantastic actors there who don't really have a huge amount to do, but the scenes they are in, they are absolutely superb. Stephen Graham's got these massive, very straight white teeth that just made me laugh every time he spoke. And Andrea Riseborough just looks permanently disgusted by Matilda. She's got massive over-the-top 80s hair. And yeah, so just they're almost underused, but I understand for the pacing of the film that you don't have a huge amount to do with the parents. Matilda's brother has been cut completely. He's not in the film at all. There's no mention of them having another child. So yeah, there have been some changes, and obviously it definitely differs from the book in a lot of ways, but I feel the stage version and this film version of the musical are a lot closer in spirit to Roald Dahl's original book than the mid-90s American film is. That's just me personally. But the dance sequences, the big numbers with all the children in Cruncham Hall are just magnificent. And like I loved seeing it on stage, but seeing what looks like hundreds of children dancing and singing is just, it's fun. It's really fun. I mean, I took the children and their Auntie Polly to see it with my 4 free tickets, and Polly said, oh, there was more singing in it than I was expecting, which is totally fine. Like, I was prepared for it. But yes, it is very much a musical, so people are bursting into song left, right and centre, but that's, fine by me. I'm good with that. I look forward to seeing it again. Probably won't go to the cinema again, although I might, but I definitely will be watching it when it comes on at Netflix, and I just hope people enjoy it, especially people who perhaps wouldn't get to see it on stage because it's prohibitively expensive. It can be, or for whatever reason their child wouldn't cope in the theatre or whatever. It's taken this glorious, wonderful, funny musical and sharing it with the world, and I'm absolutely delighted with the result. It really made me smile. It whipped along beautifully. I think it's just around the 2-hour mark, and obviously the stage play is longer, but I'm totally behind the cuts they made where they did, just to sort of streamline it. And yeah, I really hope people enjoy it, and that maybe it encourages some people to get down to London and see it on stage. It was a joy. A big thumbs up from me for Matilda the musical.